Hello, everyone. Hope you're watching. I think I'm on here live now. Hey, I'm an old man. This technology is kind of hard to figure out, but I'm assuming that I'm on and want to thank you all for being here. And as you can see, I've officially declawsed for 2022. I have to give loving thanks to my darling wife, Lynn, who's been my personal barber since the 1990s. And in fact, when I saw myself in this thing, it brought to mind a joke that I saw recently. And the joke is this: why did Maya Barber win the race? Well, because she knew the shortcuts. So I had to share that with you. Anyway, let me see if I can adjust this. There we go. So anyway, thanks again for being here. And what I am going to talk about tonight is the idea of finding wonder. So I've been a practitioner now for more than 10 years in the Centers for Spiritual Living. And this topic came up, the topic of this month was living everyday wonder. And when I saw the theme, it brought a question mark up into my head. And the reason for the question mark is because wonder is one of those words that can go different ways in our lives. Now, I'm fairly confident that if you're watching this Facebook Live presentation, then you're probably a human. And if so, then you're probably, as a human, familiar with the word wonder. But I also have to assume that you know that the word wonder can be used as both a noun and also a verb in the English language. So what brought the question mark up in my head, and what became rather interesting about this aspect, is that in those two different forms, the word wonder and same spelling can have two different impacts on how we accept it and how it affects us in our human situation. So let's take a look at the way that this all came up. First of all, the noun wonder. What does the dictionary tell us about the noun wonder? Well, got some notes here. Wonder, as a noun, is a feeling of surprise mingled with admiration caused by something beautiful, unexpected, unfamiliar, or inexplicable. An example the dictionary references is, he stood in front of it, observing the intricacy of the ironwork with the wonder of a child. It can also be used in the quality of a person or a thing that causes wonder. Athens is a place of beauty and wonder. So it can reference a strange or remarkable person, a thing or event. The electric trolley car was looked upon as the wonder of the age. Good example of how that works. Now, as a modifier, the word wonder can describe having remarkable properties or abilities, such as a wonder drug. So the bottom line here on the word wonder as a noun is that when we humans allow ourselves to experience wonder as a noun in our lives, it will automatically manifest a positive mindset. You experience the wonder, you are experiencing a wonderful part of a moment in your life. And that positive mindset is an important thing to keep with us, because if you research it, and as I've done quite a bit, Lynn and I both with Renaissance Now looked at the idea that if you keep a positive mindset, and knowing something as a wonder will do that, it will increase your mental, your emotional, and eventually your physical health will all improve when you observe life as a wonder, and your experience in life as a wonder, and the things in life as a wonder. So that's what I'm going to be talking about here. What you should all do in your lives is do yourself a favor and seek ways to always discover and recognize the wonder that life is. It's going to make you better off in every way. So But the reason that question mark came in my head that I referenced is because the word wonder can also be a verb. Now, once again, referencing the dictionary, let me talk, I've got some notes here. The verb wonder means a desire or curiosity to know something. How many times have I written that? I wonder. I wonder whether you've thought more about that. But now, we use it, of course, we always are wondering about things in our lives as humans. But where the verb can get tricky in our lives is it can also express uncertainty or doubt about some aspect of our lives. An example of that, a couple of them, I wonder if my marriage is going to remain in place. Or, I wonder how long this job will last. Or, I wonder if we're going to have enough money to get through the rest of this month. So those were the places where wonder comes up, and that's why I came up with a question mark in my head, because the spiritual center was talking about wonder, and I didn't know whether right away whether it was referencing the noun of wonder or that verb. So the definitions that I just mentioned and the descriptions alone can point out the dichotomy of the word wonder and what that can bring us on a day-to-day basis. We can always wonder about what's going to be coming up next in our lives. And that wondering activity in our brains leaves a question mark up there. We then can answer that question. We leave it. I wonder what's happening next. It leaves a question mark. But the answer to that question is up to us. We can answer it with a negative assessment that, oh, it's going to fail. Oh, it's going to be a disappointment. Oh, it's never going to work out for me. And at the same time, that same question mark that wonder brings into our heads can allow a positive assessment that, hey, it's going to work. It will succeed. It will be just what we want it to be in our lives. So these are the choices that we have to make if we allow ourselves to wonder about some aspect of our life. But at the same time, the important thing to keep in mind is that if we maintain that positive assessment we have confidence that the wonder of life is going to be revealed to us in the future, that more positive assessment will bring our thoughts and our emotions to a more positive demeanor, and it will always do us much better in every way than the wondering about how something is going to turn out. So I got some examples of that again, these came to mind when I was thinking about the theme for this month and how you can use the word wonder. And one good one that came to mind for me was something that I've referenced a lot of times to most anybody that's watching, and that is my love for Yosemite National Park. If you go to Yosemite, that place on Earth, you cannot help but see the wonder of nature right there in place. Rivers, mountains, waterfalls, trees, bushes, flowers, lots of different species of wild animals. All of nature is right there in that place. And the wonder of nature is revealed to you anytime you're there, anytime you're seeing it. And the true wonder of life is revealed when you're there at Yosemite National Park, regardless of the season or how the weather might be. You cannot help but see the wonder of nature. And when you see the wonder of nature, you're certainly observing the wonder of life. Now, the thing that always comes to mind, and this is what came up as I was thinking about what to say tonight, is that if you as a human had been in that same location that is Yosemite National Park 2.5 million years ago when it was being created by the glaciers, it would certainly have been not a very comfortable place for a human to be. And if you were there or even knew about what was going on, you couldn't help but wonder what was going on there and wonder what the result of that, all of that activity in the glaciers was going to be on the Earth. So back then, of course, there weren't any humans there 2.5 million years ago, but just imagine if you were, there would have been no way, as that was all happening at the park with the glaciers coming through and just making the earth move and everything else, there would have been no way to know that it would have eventually become the beautiful wonder of nature that Yosemite Park is now. But this is my message for tonight. If you were there, you would have had that choice to consider about what was going on and what it was going to end up. And if you'd have made that choice that this stuff you're wondering about there that's going on would eventually become a wonder on this earth, well, you would have made that choice and you would have been correct and you would have left that same situation with a more positive mindset. And so that is the example that I wanted to point out to you. The example I just gave about wondering how things are going to turn out can manifest in the experience of the joy of wonder, can apply to many aspects of our lives. One of them is I sold automobiles for 10 years and I'd always thought about that. If you looked at automobiles when they were created 100 years ago, or a little bit more than that, you couldn't have helped but see the wonder how we are 100 years or so later, and with the way the automobile industry and the automobile itself is impacting the environment and the atmosphere, now you're at that position where you can't help but wonder a little bit whether the automobile is something that we should all be driving, and just wonder if there is a better way to get around, which is bringing up the whole idea of electric vehicles, putting less stuff into the atmosphere and everything else. But this is where that what I wanted to just reference here tonight, how this same word wonder can go from one side to the other side in our human situation. So the same thing with this digital technology that we're on here. Things like computers, 50 years ago or so, back in the 1970s, we were all wondering about how this was going to change and impact ourselves, and wondering about, well, how is this going to work? Well, now here we are, 2022 just started, and this digital technology is a true wonder in our lives. The ability to connect with people and communicate with people digitally like I am here. You're all seeing me, talking to me. I'm talking to you on a computer is quite a wonder, because before this Zoom technology and Facebook Live came to that, you would have to have wondered how I would be able to get this message out here, and wondered how I'd be able to communicate with everyone without actually being there live with you and meeting in person. So once again, it's amazing how the things you're wondering about can become a wonder, and things that are now a wonder can become something that you're going to be wondering about at some other point in your life. So this is essentially the lesson that I wanted to give to you. As you go through life wondering about what's going to happen, take an example of Yosemite National Park and just know that what will eventually occur and evolve in your life will be a true wonder for you and everyone else who's affected by it. So again, as I mentioned, if you do that, if you answer that wondering aspect of your life with the idea that it's going to be a wonder, things will always turn out to be what they're going to be, but it's going to affect you a more positive way in your emotional, your mental, and eventually it does tie into your physical health. All going to be much better off if you simply come up with the answer that it's going to be a wonder, that thing that you're wondering about. So that's essentially the message that I wanted to give to everybody today, that when you're wondering about things, just be assured, just assure yourself that it's going to be a wonder, as opposed to a terrible thing, a disappointment and stuff like that. Because what's going to happen in the future is always an unknown. So go with the idea that it's going to be a better thing than a worse thing, and you won't have to wonder about what's happening. Things in life will be wonderful for you and everyone with whom you're connected. So that's basically the message I wanted to give tonight on my uplift. Now that I've declosed and back to my normal looking self. I want to close things out tonight with a spiritual treatment to let us have a great evening. And so at this point on my message here, I want you to close your eyes and connect within to the inner self, to the oneness that is God, the oneness that is the creative force in life that's creating everything that is and creating everything to be wonderful for all of life around it. And when you've made that connection, please know along with me these words as I say them in the first person. Please make them your own. For I know that right here and right now, in this singular moment, in the continuing evolution of the time and space continuum, there is one source to everything that is. One infinite source, infinite in creativity, infinite intelligent, infinite in joy and love. And we talk to that one infinite source. We call that infinite source God. You can call it what you want, but we all know that there's some infinite source that's creating the existence of what's going on in the universe. We like to refer to that in our teaching as God. And knowing that there is one source and one God, you are here from that source. And being from that source, you are just by simply being in existence, connected with the one source, connected with God. And you are one with God. And since everything comes from that same source, you are thereby connected with everything that exists in the universe. Every object, every aspect, every living creature, certainly every human on the planet, you are connected to, all coming from that one source. And knowing that you have that connection and you are connected with life through that source that we call God, you can know that as you continue to move forward in your life, knowing, recognizing, experiencing the wonder of life, and experiencing that wonder and bringing forth yourself and your own existence here with the motivation of love, kindness, compassion, sharing, caring, and giving, you have the assurance that that wonder of life will continue to evolve within you, for you, and around you at all times. And for this awareness of my experience in life, my connection with the one source of life that is God, and the wonder that life is, I give my thanks and my gratitude to God, knowing that as I continue forward in this same motivation with the gratitude towards God for everything that is, it will continue to evolve in a source, from the source, in a wonderful way, and continue to making my life be a wonder and allowing me to share the wonder of life with everyone and everything that is on this planet and in this universe with me. And for this awareness and for this capability, I give my thanks to God. And I send these words, these thoughts, these prayers into that infinite capability that God represents to take care of the details while I continue to find ways to enjoy the wonder of life. And we close by saying, and so it is. And so it is. I'm finished with my uplifting treatment for tonight. I want to thank you all for being here with the new me that is talking to you. And I'm wishing for all of you to have a wonderful night tonight. Thank you and good night to all. That ends my uplift. Bye-bye.